All right. Oh man, this Player Talk Radio. We are in the building. Great to see you guys in the building. And make sure you guys hit the like button on the way in. Hit the super thanks. And make sure you hype up this video. Been putting in a lot of work, making sure I bring you guys top tier content. You know what I'm saying? So much stuff to cover on today's show. We're gonna get into a concept that I call the Killmonger Effect. So much stuff to cover on today's show. I guess we have a good amount of time. So I wanted to get into like a little bit of a ramble or a rant, about, information nowadays. So much stuff has happened in these, manosphere and YouTube spaces and stuff like that. And, I was talking to a friend not too long ago. And one of the things that I was talking about is how a lot of people, they don't care about, about, they don't care about the knowledge. If it sounds right, cool, it checks out. Who cares? Did you do the research? Did you live it? Do you understand what's actually going on? Are you, familiar with the dynamics? Most people don't care. And we were talking about like the Matrix a little bit in the red pill, and just the stuff that's going on in quote unquote red pill spaces. And I was telling them, I was like, the guys nowadays in the world, that they're at another point, what's called the wall of silence. He wasn't there for the first wall of silence. A lot of people wasn't there for the first wall of silence. But a lot of these people, they wasn't there for the wall of silence. And, the wall of silence is a real thing. Man has reached the third. This is the third wall of silence, maybe the fourth, that man has reached, where men know what they don't, men don't know what they're going to do, but they know what they ain't going to do, and to a certain degree, that is powerful. A lot of people was talking about the situation with the young lady that was unsubscribed in Tanzania, and they were trying to put it on the red pill, but it's like, no, actually, square people, blue pill people, and average people, they're looking at the same thing. They're doing the same thing. They're smoking on packs too. I wouldn't say the average person is red pilled, but they are using, I wouldn't say necessarily benefiting, but they're using, and they're they're living by red pill standards and don't even realize it. And that's kind of probably even worse, because the thing is that the red pill ain't for everybody. If you give certain people the red pill, it will fuck them up, but only if you up. Let me stop. uh you know uh I'm gonna tell you guys what we're seeing though. What's the worst outcome is you have a lot of blue pill people living up to red pill standards, not necessarily, but using red pill terminology and standards that they don't understand. And where the problem in that lies in it, what the problem lies in that is that red people can only really live and understand red pill concepts and stuff like that. And if you're square, you might be a natural or an individual compared to today's standards. A natural and an individual doesn't necessarily make you red pill. A lot of red pill people happen to be natural and individual, you know? And what I call it too, because we're going to get to the Killmonger effect, y'all stick around. I call it the fake steak effect. The average person and average man, and even woman to a certain degree that's hip, has reached a cipher turning point, you know? And what I hate about a lot of the people that's grifting and moving in these red pill space, because the audience is the biggest grifters on the planet. The audience is bigger, a way bigger grifter than the content creators. Content creators are only going to go damn near where the audience and the money's going. Take it from somebody that's given up all of that to still help men and bring this message to you. Please hit the super thanks button if you appreciate what I do and my work and everything that I've done into the past up until this point. I need your help, and the channel needs your help to move forward. Okay? Because I call this the fake steak effect. The average person going through the wall of silence right now has gotten to a cipher stage. Even people that's been in these spaces, they got into a cipher stage. The steak in the matrix, to a certain degree, especially when it comes to me, symbolize knowledge. One thing I was talking about with one of my brothers in the space was these niggas don't give a fuck where they get the knowledge from. You can be real as fuck and go to somebody that's cosplaying and has a scripted personality as a red pillar up until a real one shows up. You can go to their page and they'll be the red pill authority until you get there, right? And they will go cipher. The average man that is quote unquote in the not necessarily in the wall of silence. Well, the wall of silence, yeah, they're going cipher. And what I mean by that is, the knowledge is the stake. They don't care if it's real or not. And what I was getting at was, if you go somewhere and say, hey, nah, that's not how it goes, this is how it goes, please get it right, because you don't know what you're talking about and you're speaking on things that you don't know what you're talking about. A lot of people, they get upset about that. They absolutely 1,000% get upset about that. 1,000% they get upset about that. And the audience seeing it, they don't say, hey, well, the person that I was following misled us, or he wasn't wrong, or he was wrong, or he kind of really didn't know what he was talking about, or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times they don't care to say, hey, let me educate this person, or hey, at least this person needs to know what they're talking about before I really listen to them. How's this person? It's not even about if somebody's learning or anything like that. I get it if you follow somebody that's learning. But it's if this person is like, it's like, okay, we get it if this person is trying to learn or willing to learn and stuff like that. But a lot of people are positioning themselves as, as the authority. They're positioning themselves as if they already know. And it's like, bro, it's okay not to know as long as you're learning. That's a part of the red pill that gets left out of these conversations. That you're open to learn. That you're not authoritative, on every single situation. So I call it the fake steak effect, And the audience is going through it harder than the content creators that don't know what the hell they talking about. Like after a while, if you can see and you're awoke, and a big part of the red pill is being awake and awoken, you'll see that it's the blind leading the blind. And it don't matter if some other blind person knows more than the other person, they're still blind. It's still trying to be authoritative and lead. So it's people choosing comfort over reality. People don't care if the information is real, only if it feels good. You know what I'm saying? Exposure and accountability. You can prove someone wrong and the audience still stays. I'm not saying that they have to jump. But what I'm saying is that they're okay with listening to fucked up information. People that want to educate themselves are not okay with listening to fucked up information. Real talk. And people in these spaces, they stop wanting to educate themselves. They don't care about this stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's like they didn't even plan to intend on using it in their real lives. So, they don't care about the information. It's only if it feels good. So repetition of a lot of these talking points creates false authority. Scripted personality over authentic voices. You know where to find an authentic voice.
What's the matter, Daddy? Bust all in there.
Yeah. You dig?
What's the matter, Daddy?
I'm an authentic voice. Sounding right beats being right. Audience follow confidence, not competence. Most people consume knowledge with zero intention to imply it. Or apply it. My bad. Information is treated like content, not a tool that people use to progress themselves or use forward or move forward nowadays. People reduce themselves to spectators instead of, real live participants. You know what I'm saying? Which is a cop out. So algorithms award engagement and not truth. And it's a cipher mindset, But in reality, like I've talked on several shows. If you guys would like to, talk about it, you can hit me up in the comment section. Cipher wasn't really wrong when it comes to the part of the Matrix. He was wrong when it comes to the stake, but let's be and not really necessarily wrong when it comes to the stake, but let's just be at least realistic about when it comes to the stake, what he was saying. You know what I'm saying? Let's at least be a little bit realistic about when it comes to the stake, what he was saying. But we'll talk about that at some other modicum at some other point, right? Because I've talked about it several times on the show, how Neo actually lied to Cypher. Cypher was supposed to be Neo. How Morpheus lied to Cypher, my bad. Cypher was supposed to be the original Neo, and it kind of didn't work out. So he had a reason to be, what he wanted to be. But see, in real life, the red pill never promised you to be anything. It just promised you to be awoke. So, that's really what happened. So yeah, people reduce themselves to spectators instead of participants, And YouTube rewards this, we don't live in the age of information anymore. That day is over. Even with to band-aid that, to cover it up, AI and Google. In a lot of cases, if you didn't know, AI and Google, they gatekeep a lot of information. They never really transferred actual book knowledge and applied knowledge over to the actual they never really applied it or transfer it over to the internet correctly. So a part of it was a bit of you going out. And the thing is like I said, the thing about it is, one of the worst things to ever happen to people is to own a social media before they've owned a social life. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of this quote unquote red pill knowledge, it's gonna really have to really evolve and turn into something else. And the people that's around it right now, it's squandered. It's really squandered. We have to move on. I'm tired of talking about 50-50. I'm tired of talking about all this dumbass shit that a lot of people still want to talk about because it's new to them. And especially even if it's old to us. It ain't even old to us. It's old to the internet. The stuff that people are like, man, I got this profound, opinion and I want to ask this question. It's like, bro, why don't you go look it up on the internet? It's already done. Look at life and humanity. Look at how men have to read books and everything. Look at how they have to read books and everything about look at how they have to read books and everything about how much, listen, I don't know how to explain this. What I'm saying is, look, in the world and in life, right? I tell men to write books because I have a bunch of books. I have 2 books that I've written and I'm working on my 3rd and 4th. I tell men to write books because that is your legacy, right? That is your legacy. That is, your legacy. It's you can trust what you've written in the pages more than you could trust your damn kids. You know what I'm saying? Your children will damn near sell your business and your house for a motherfucking Hellcat. Real talk. And the thing about it is, you know, your works and your work is really your legacy. And the reason why I tell you guys to read books is because what it took somebody a lifetime to learn, you can turn around and learn that shit in a weekend or a month, you know, or whenever it makes sense to you, you know. So you really got to take into account, what we talking about on today's show. I get tired of all of this stuff being repeated. You know, I get tired of repeating myself. The irony of it is, being a YouTuber or a quote unquote podcaster, you got to repeat yourself. So it's hard being a goddamn vegetable. I'm an onion, multi-layered, a tree. You know what I'm saying? Surface level conversations dominate because they're easy to repeat. And a lot of times, real experts, they get labeled boring because depth requires depth requires effort. It takes a lot of effort to appear effortless. So a lot of people got this cipher mindset where they're choosing illusion knowingly. You know what I'm saying? They're choosing the illusion knowingly. People don't vet information, they adopt identities around it. The internet creates borrowed personalities. But who cares? Who cares if you're getting information from somebody real or not? And then the funny part is that people have the unmitigated gall to ask for credentials as if they have some type of legitimatory system to run it through. You know, it's like, oh man, let me see if your notary is real. Do you know anything about notaries? Can you check? How do you know if it's real? Most people don't even know if $100 is real. They don't know about the toothpick trick. They don't know about the number and the alphabet trick. They don't know these things. You dig? And then you have YouTube. See, it's a difference between looking at knowledge or wanting to learn something and not having the tools. And there's a difference between having all the tools at your disposal, and you're not using them. You're not using them. You don't care to use them. What you gonna use them for? If you don't have a social life, what's the point of learning the red pill? In a world where critical thinking is seen as friction, people don't want transformation, they want validation. So the truth is not even the real thing. It just becomes optional when entertainment is constant. And one thing that pisses me off, let's get into the real game, that I hear is these people. I've had Fatty, I had a lot of people, and shout outs to Fatty and Nilcon, no hard feelings. But a lot of these people, they talk about Michael B. Jordan. Okay, they don't know what they're talking about. They talk about Michael B. Jordan. And this is where we get into what I like to call the KillMonger Effect. I like to call it the KillMonger Effect. Because the funny part is that, you know, everybody's looking at Lori Harvey and her dating shit is gone to shit. We didn't see that coming. But I call it the KillMonger Effect. Because Michael B. Jordan represents Killmonger in the movie The Black Panther. Okay? Now, it's no different than Stefan Urkel and Steve Urkel. All right? No different than Stefan Urkel and Steve Urkel. Why you say that, Cuda? Because a lot of women want to date Killmonger. They don't want to date Michael B. Jordan. Real talk. Real talk. They only want Michael B. Jordan when he's playing Killmonger. They only want Michael B. Jordan when he's in character. They don't want Michael B. Jordan when, you know what I'm saying, he's Michael B. Jordan, a good famous actor. They only like him when he's Killmonger. Real talk. Now, why do people like the Killmonger character more than Michael B. Jordan? Because Killmonger represents rebellion. He represents pain. He represents a man with an edge. Aside from Michael B. Jordan being a great, famous, and amazing actor, Killmonger was his edge.
What's the matter, Daddy?
Bust all in there. Bust all over in there.
Killmonger was his edge. They don't want Michael B. Jordan. They want Killmonger. Do y'all really know the story of the movie? Or am I getting too deep? You gonna start crying. I'm an onion. Am I getting too deep? Killmonger represented African Americans. T'Challa, the Black Panther, represented Africans. Quote unquote, the new, quote unquote, the old, controlled, and disciplined. And, structured. The real Michael B. Jordan damn near is T'Challa. That's the funny part. That's the fucking funny part.
Bust all in there. Bust all in there.
The real Michael B. Jordan is T'Challa. The real Michael B. Jordan is disciplined to be an actor, structured to be an actor, controlled to be an actor. Women and people in general are attracted to the idea of intensity. Killmonger equals emotional chaos and ignorance packaged as confidence. But then again, there is something called controlled chaos. And I like Killmonger, you know what I'm saying? I absolutely like Killmonger. He still had a structure and everything that comes along with him. You know? So, in real life, Michael B. Jordan, his energy is stability. When women are looking for a fantasy, Killmonger. The fantasy version, Killmonger, of Michael B. Jordan removes all the consequences. The archetype feels powerful because it's simplified. Women know what they're getting. A lot of these guys try to use him as a example for a bunch of shit that they don't even understand. They can't even properly think like a woman. And they talk about women and psychoanalyze women and don't even know what the hell women, in basics, don't even know what the hell women are attracted to. Why would women listen to guys like that in these spaces, trying to SBE to them? People want to ignore reality when reality includes flaws, routines, discipline, and less cinematic. Again, Michael B. Jordan versus Killmonger is the Urkel and Stefan dynamic. Transformation fantasy. People want a man to become Killmonger, not start there sometimes, you know? So women will know Michael B. Jordan. got turned down. He was the corny kid. Y'all see him. People reacted to him, reacted to that girl from his high school. Oh, I'm the corny kid, huh? Blah, blah, blah. But even the woman that was calling him corny wouldn't want him unless he was Killmonger. Now let's get into the real funny part, the reality of that shit. What made that shit funny is that in reality, she had a high-paying job, maybe. She was on the red carpet talking to all kinds of celebrities and people that are up there.
Bust all in there.
And her high school friend ended up being there. And she had to point the microphone at him and ask him his opinion or whatever the fuck he got going on. Everybody wants that back then didn't want me, now I'm hot, they all on me. Everybody wants that goofy label, that archetype. What's the point as a man listening for the back then didn't want me, now I'm hot, they all on me? They all on me. You got one itis as a man. If she's all on you, guess what? You sitting there waiting around for nothing, man. Because by the time in these day and age, once she's all on you, she fat. It's over with. And the funny thing is, she still want the quote unquote Pookie and Ray Ray, not the nice guy. You know, the certain edges, not all. But rebellion, because him being an actor is his edge. But rebellion is attractive until it affects stability for a lot of these women, you know. Real talk. Controlled men are seen as lacking edge. See, remember, I tell you guys, and I give you guys the game, you want to separate your edge from your occupation because, you know, your edge and your occupation is separate. But if your edge is your occupation, that could be a maker or breaker, depending on who you're talking to. Because if somebody's a fan of your work, your edge is an attractive thing. You know? If somebody feels they know you, they will use your edge against you because it is your occupation. So the game that I've gave you as a player is super real that you want to separate it. You could be a janitor, but you shoot guns on the weekend. You could be an international hopscotch champion, but you like to go to the casino and hang out with rock stars on the weekend or some shit. I don't know. But that's how women are. They've always found emotional volatility, and they always misread it as passion. You know, because they are subject and at the mercy of their own emotions. You know, friction compresses complexity into, you know, into a digestible identity for them. You know, archetypes remove accountability because they're acting out within a realm that they can be. This is why I was telling you guys on one of my shows that got cut off. Look at all of the titles that we give women: love interest, girlfriend, wife, fiance, ex, baby mama, all kinds of different things. Even niggas was giving bitches promise rings and shit. You know? Promise rings. Promise rings. They were giving women promise rings. You dig? So, real relationships require consistency, not theatrics, and it requires somebody to be real. Somebody got to be the chief, somebody got to be the Indians. All right? So there's a disappointment there. You know, guys always using this Killmonger thing as a excuse, and it's like, bro, step your game up, dog. The Killmonger Effect. All right? All right? Characters don't really have real world consequences, but people do. And if you're a character in the real world, you're probably dead. Attraction is often rooted in symbolism and not compatibility. And this is why people fall in love with narratives, not actual individuals. Look at the woman that was in Tanzania. You know, the guy that she was dating, him being rich in her head, that's a narrative. Whether she looked up his net worth or not, she don't know if he's worth that much or if that's how much he has. So that's a narrative. When in reality, who he wanted probably her to love him for is his individuality. You know what I'm saying? Motherfuckers will snap on you if they don't get that, you know? Motherfuckers will snap on you crazy if they don't get that. You dig? So people consume fake knowledge the same way they consume fake personalities. The audience accept fake experts, and the same audience is chasing archetypes, okay? Pay attention. Look at the audience that accepts fake experts is the same audience that's chasing the archetypes. Killmonger is the fake steak of masculinity. Both are emotionally satisfying, but functionally misleading. People reject the truth and knowledge, and relationships are for comfort. You know? People want to feel understood instead of actually being understood, because a lot of people don't even understand themselves. You know, if somebody tells you about themselves, you quickly switch gears and be like, oh, damn, this person knows more about me than me. But how could they? They can read you, but how could they? You know? And it's easy to read an archetype. That's why it's called an archetype. If you can recognize something as an archetype, that means you have a concept of options or an abundance of a concept of options in your head that you can actually be like, oh, you're this. You can classify it. That's how the brain works. The brain compartmentalizes things so it can build an understanding of the things that it compartmentalizes. You dig? So people reject truth and knowledge and relationships for comfort. Symbol over substance in both domains. So imagine looking for somebody authentic in today's world. People defend illusions because their identity, they're based in identity. They have identity issues. This is why they grift a lot. This is stuff that we shouldn't have to be facing in the manosphere and in the red pill sectors. The same lack of discernment shows up in dating choices. Internet culture trains people to prefer digestible shit over real shit. People don't even reject fake food. McDonald's and a lot of places just said, fuck it. We don't give a damn. What you gonna do? Litmus test our beef patties, nigga? You don't with what? And even if you can find something and say If you get diamond test a McDonald's burger and it's fake, it don't give a fuck. People still gonna eat it. Mind you, these are the same people that tell you to listen to them. Same people that tell you to listen to them. So exposure, YouTube, doesn't break attachment, whether it's a creator or archetype. People are just going to go for what's in their goofy-ass algorithm. Okay? So the internet culture trains people to prefer digestible over real. All right? So I'm going to give y'all the game within a nutshell. People don't just consume fake knowledge. They build their entire attraction system the same exact way. If you came here as a man and you didn't have all of that dating shit figured out before phones, internet, and all of that stuff popped off, you confused. And I don't want to hear some of you guys becoming content creators, respectfully, popping that shit. In the black pill, a lot of guys will tell you, women reject me, I don't do well with women, and then turn around and say, let me tell you how to get women. Listen, man, see you on the next live stream. We out. If you want a better video to watch, click one of the videos below or go to the channel and make sure you guys click another video. Make sure you guys hit the hype button. Make sure you like. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you support the show. Hit the super thanks. I am your gracious host, DJ Cuda. We out. Peace.